Ever wondered how one of the world's largest automakers, Volkswagen, came to be? Our journey takes us back to the year 1937, nestled in the heart of Germany. A time when the rumble of engines was a luxury few could afford. Volkswagen, or the people's car, as it translates, was born from a vision to change this, to bring the freedom of the open road to the everyday individual. It was a daring goal, a lofty aspiration, and yet it was one that would shape the course of automotive history. Tasked with creating a vehicle that was affordable, reliable, and practical, the team at Volkswagen set to work. The result? The iconic Beetle, a car that would go on to symbolize a generation, setting the standard for what a people's car truly could be. But as the Beetle began to make its mark, the world was changing. The storm clouds of World War II were gathering, and soon, the factory floors that once buzzed with the creation of Beetles were repurposed for the war effort. Production of the Beetle came to a halt, as Volkswagen found itself contributing to a cause far removed from its original vision. Throughout the war, the Volkswagen factory was a hive of activity, its machines and workers dedicated to producing military vehicles. But as the conflict drew to a close, the factory lay in ruins, its future uncertain. Yet, amid the rubble and uncertainty, the spirit of Volkswagen endured. The same spirit that had set out to create a car for the people remained, undeterred by the challenges that lay ahead. The vision of affordable, reliable transportation for all was very much alive. And it was this vision that would guide Volkswagen into the next chapter of its story. So, a war-torn factory and a car designed for the masses, that's where our Volkswagen story begins. How does a company recover after a devastating war? Let's find out. In the aftermath of the Second World War, the Volkswagen factory lay in ruins, a ghostly echo of its former glory. But as is often the case with resilient spirits, this was not the end of the story. The British Army, under Major Ivan Hurst, took the reins and breathed new life into the factory. The Major had a vision, and with a workforce composed largely of local citizens, the factory was brought back from the brink of extinction. Remember the Beetle, that iconic little car that would become synonymous with the Volkswagen brand? Well, it didn't actually start out with that name. In fact, it was the British who first coined the term Beetle. The car was originally known as the Type 1, but the new moniker, inspired by the car's distinctive shape, quickly caught on. It was a name that would stick, becoming as much a part of Volkswagen's identity as the car itself. Now a car is of little use if it has no one to drive it. Volkswagen knew this, and so began the process of exporting their newly named Beetle. The first stop, the Netherlands. In 1947, the first Beetles were shipped across the border, marking the beginning of Volkswagen's venture into the international market. It was a bold move, a statement of intent that echoed the company's newfound confidence and ambition. But let's not forget, all of this was happening in a world still reeling from the war. Resources were scarce, economies were recovering, and yet, here was a company, rising from the ashes, rebuilding and rebranding itself, determined not just to survive, but to thrive. So how does a company recover after a devastating war? With resilience, determination, and a touch of ingenuity. Volkswagen didn't just bounce back, it reinvented itself, setting the stage for a new chapter in its history. From the ashes of war, a new era for Volkswagen had begun. Imagine this, a car designed for the German people becomes a global sensation. How did that happen? As the 50s dawned, Volkswagen looked beyond the confines of Germany and saw a world ripe for its unique brand of motoring. The first step was to establish production plants in Brazil and Mexico. In Brazil, the Beetle, known locally as the Fusca, was the first car to be produced, marking the inception of Volkswagen do Brasil in 1953. Just over a decade later, Mexico followed suit, becoming home to Volkswagen de Mexico. But it wasn't just about the production, it was about the demand. And the demand was there, particularly in the United States. The Beetle, with its distinctive shape and reliable performance, was like nothing the American market had seen before. It was small, economical, and affordable, a stark contrast to the big, gas-guzzling models that dominated the roads. By the mid-60s, the Beetle was the top-selling import car in America, outpacing all its competitors. But Volkswagen wasn't content to rest on its laurels. The 60s saw the launch of another iconic vehicle, the Volkswagen bus. Known officially as the Type 2, the Beetle being Type 1, the bus was a symbol of the counterculture movement, beloved by hippies and adventurers alike. Its spacious interior and adaptable design made it perfect for road trips, camping excursions, and everything in between. The bus was more than just a vehicle. It was a way of life, embodying the free-spirited ethos of an entire generation. Through these moves, Volkswagen cemented its place not just as a German automaker, but as a global powerhouse. The Beetle and the bus, two vehicles that started as mere sketches on a designer's pad, had become symbols of freedom, adventure, and individuality. They transcended borders and cultures, bringing people together in a shared love of motoring. The Beetle wasn't just a car anymore, it was a worldwide phenomenon. What happens when you're at the top? You innovate. And that's exactly what Volkswagen did. As the 70s rolled around, Volkswagen was in full swing, launching new models that would leave their mark on the automotive industry. Enter the Golf and the Passat. These models were a departure from the iconic Beetle that had brought Volkswagen into the limelight. The Golf, with its compact design and fuel efficiency, quickly became a favorite among city dwellers. The Passat, on the other hand, was a larger family car, offering more space without compromising on performance. These models showcased Volkswagen's ability to diversify its offerings and cater to a wider range of consumer needs. But Volkswagen didn't stop there. The 70s also saw the acquisition of Audi. This acquisition was a strategic move that expanded Volkswagen's reach into the luxury car market, further diversifying its portfolio. With Audi under its wing, Volkswagen was able to tap into new markets, presenting itself as not just a manufacturer of reliable family cars, but also a maker of luxury vehicles. And then there were the water-cooled engines. Until the 70s, Volkswagen had relied on air-cooled engines for its vehicles. But the introduction of water-cooled engines was a game-changer. This innovation not only improved the performance of Volkswagen cars, but also reduced noise and engine wear, enhancing the overall driving experience. The 70s were a time of great change for Volkswagen. It was a period of innovation and diversification that saw the launch of new models, the acquisition of a luxury car brand, and the introduction of new engine technology. All of these changes were part of Volkswagen's strategy to stay ahead of the curve, to continue evolving and adapting to the ever-changing automotive landscape. And it worked. These innovations and diversifications solidified Volkswagen's position in the global car market. They showed that Volkswagen was not afraid to take risks, to break away from tradition, and to constantly strive for improvement. Volkswagen was no longer a one-hit wonder. It was a force to be reckoned with. As we move into the 21st century, where does Volkswagen stand? In the early years of this century, Volkswagen continued to be a major player in the global automotive industry, but it wasn't all smooth sailing. The company faced one of its biggest challenges in the form of the diesel emissions scandal in 2015. Volkswagen was found to have cheated emissions tests, leading to a major shakeup in the company's leadership and a renewed commitment to transparency and ethical business practices. But Volkswagen is no stranger to adversity. Just as it had done many times in the past, the company used this crisis as an opportunity to pivot and innovate. In the wake of the emissions scandal, Volkswagen made a bold commitment to electric vehicles, pledging to launch more than 70 new electric models by 2028. True to its word, Volkswagen has been at the forefront of the electric vehicle revolution. The company unveiled the ID.3 in 2019, a compact electric hatchback that has been compared to the iconic Beetle for its potential to bring electric vehicles to the masses. And just a year later, the ID.4 was launched, an electric SUV designed to cater to the growing demand for family-sized electric vehicles. These developments reflect Volkswagen's commitment to not only staying relevant, but also leading the charge in the rapidly evolving automotive industry. The company's focus on electric vehicles is not just about reducing emissions, but also about embracing the future of mobility. The Volkswagen story is one of resilience, innovation, and a constant desire to reinvent the wheel. From its humble beginnings as a car for the German people, Volkswagen has grown into a global automotive powerhouse, with a diverse range of models that cater to a wide variety of needs and tastes. From a simple car for the German people to a global automotive powerhouse, that's the Volkswagen story. What will the next chapter hold? Only time will tell.